Hi Year 1, Miss Cox here again, and welcome to lesson 3 of fractions this week. Now, the last lesson, I asked you to have a think about half of shapes. So hopefully you really enjoyed finding different shapes and finding out what half a shape would look like, and remembering that half means one of two equal parts. So today we're going to move on a little bit, and we're going to find out what half an amount of objects might be. So we're going to think about getting a collection of things together and halving them. So if you need some time now to get some objects together, so it could be toys, it could be Lego, it could be pasta, it could be something that you can move around, then please feel free to do that now. And I shall see you in a minute. Okay, so today we're going to start with the number 5 again because we're going to really practice these numbers until we get them right. So we're going to spend a little moment now just practicing that number 5 and remembering our rhyme: down, around, and flag on high. That's the way we make a 5. Okay, so down, around, and flag on high. That's the way we make a 5. So if you have some time now, just practicing those 5s, and then I'll be back in a moment and we're going to play a little game. Okay, so well done for having a go at number 5. Now, today's game is called Guess My Number. And it does exactly what it says in the title. I have got here some numbers on these cards, and I'm going to give you some clues, and you've got to try and guess what my number is. And you can write it down on a bit of paper, or just tell your grown up, that's fine. And then we'll see if you've guessed the right number. Okay, so I shall begin. So the first number I have, the first clue is it's a number that is between 10 and 20. So my number is in between 10 and 20. My number is an even number. So that means my number ends in 0 or 2 or 4 or 6 or 8. So my number is an even number. I wonder if you've guessed it yet. My number is close to 20. My number is close to 20. Last clue. My number is 1 less than 19. My number is 1 less than 19. Or hopefully you're all shouting at the screen that the number is 18. Did you guess it? I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. Okay, I'm going to do one more. And then you can play this game yourselves at any time. Okay, I've got another number here. My number is in between 0 and 10. My number is odd. So it either ends in 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9. So my number is odd. My number is close to 10. And last clue, this is a tricky one. My number is 2 more than 7. 2 more than 7. Have a think about that. You can use the number line 2 more than 7. Okay, I hope you guessed that my number was 9. Okay, so that's Guess My Number. That's a really nice one for you to play at home for all sorts of different numbers. Okay, so moving on. I said earlier, we're going to be thinking about finding half of an amount of objects today. And what that means is we're going to have an amount of objects and we're going to find out what half of those objects would be. So we're just going to go over a few of the words that we've been thinking about this week and the sentences that we've been thinking about this week. So here I have hopefully you think it's a rectangle shape. And we would say this is a whole rectangle. Here is a whole rectangle. And underneath here, you can see that I have coloured in half of my rectangle. I've coloured in half. I know it's half because half is one of two equal parts. And that is what I've coloured in. So we're going to be my cave again. So I'm going to say half is one of two equal parts. Can you say it? Half is one of two equal parts. Excellent, well done. So we're going to be using all these lovely things we've learned so far to be thinking about halving objects. So as you can see, the objects on my screen are yummy sweets. Okay, so I've got some yummy sweets up here at the top of my screen. And if I wanted to work out, if I wanted to give you half of my sweets, I could do that. And I can do that by making a shape here. I've got my rectangle and I've made two equal parts to make it really easy to share with you. So I'd like you to pause the video and I'd like you to make yourself a rectangle. I'd like you to make a rectangle like this, okay? And then turn it to two equal parts, and then you can use that and you can work along with me. So pause me now and make sure that you've got this drawing. So a rectangle in two equal parts, okay? And then some objects. So whatever objects you've got. I've got pictures of sweeties here, but you could have anything. It could be Lego, it could be little toy soldiers, it could be princesses, it could be whatever, pasta. So something that you can use to work with me. Okay, so I'm going to give you some time now if you need to do that. Okay, so what we're going to do to work out how, if I want to give you half of my sweets, this is what I would do. I would put one sweet this half of my rectangle and one sweet in this part of my rectangle. One sweet in this part of my rectangle and one sweet in this part of my rectangle. Okay, so if you've got your rectangle and you've got whatever you're working with at home, you can do the same. So you can get 4 bits of Lego, 4 little princesses, 4 bits of pasta, whatever you've got, and have a go at putting them equally into the parts of the rectangle. So hopefully you can see now that we have got exactly the same amount of sweets this part as this part. So we have halved the sweets. We've worked out what half of the sweets would be. And we've worked out that I would end up with 2 sweeties, and then you would end up with 2 sweeties as well. Because what I have is the same as what you have. And that's really important when we're halving, that whatever's in this part is the same as whatever's in this part. So the whole number of sweets was 4. We had 4 altogether. And I now know that half of 4 is 2. Okay, so I now know that half of 4 is 2. Right, we're going to do another one. Okay, so take all your sweeties off. So your pretend sweeties, whatever your sweeties look like. Okay, they could look like Lego. They could look like anything that you like, pasta. Okay, so take everything off of your rectangle. And I'm just going to, down here I've got a magic sweetie. This magic sweetie means I can get out some more. Here we go, look. My magic sweetie here gives me more sweeties. So I have now got, what's our whole number of sweeties? Let's count them, shall we? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've now got 6 sweets. So the whole number of sweets is 6. Can you say that? The whole number of sweets is 6. Okay, now if I wanted to find out how many sweets I would have and then how many sweets you would have, we're going to do the same thing again. So get yourself 6 counters. Okay, a counter, when I say counter, it just means something that you're using to count with. So your counter might look like a bit of Lego, like I've said, or a toy soldier, or a piece of pasta. My counters today look like pictures of sweets. Okay, so get your counters ready, and you need 6, don't you? Because I've got 6 sweeties, so you need 6 objects, 6 counters. Okay, so now I'm going to make sure I share my sweeties equally between the 2 parts. I put 1 here and 1 here. 1 here and another 1 here and 1 here and 1 here. Now check yours and check mine. Do they both have the same number of sweets on each part of the rectangle? Yes, they do. So that means we have found half because I've got the same amount of sweets this part as over here. So as we said at the beginning, the whole number of sweets is 6. So that's how many we've got together. And half of 6 is 3, because we've got 3 here in this part and then 3 here. So we now know that half of 6 is 3. Okay, we're going to do one more together, then I'm going to set you off on a challenge. Okay, I've got a challenge for you. So I'm going to take my counters off. Here we go. I'm taking my counters off, my sweeties off. Okay. And I'm going to use my magic sweetie down here to give me some more. Here we go. Okay. So I have now got, oh, how many sweets have I got? Let's count them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've now got 8 sweeties here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, oh, my whole number of sweets is 8. Let's say that together. The whole number of sweets is 8. So I now got 8 altogether. Now, if I want to give half to you and half to me, and I want to make it fair, I'm going to share my sweets onto my bits of the rectangle, my equal parts of the rectangle. So 1 here, and you can do this at the same time. 1 here, 1 here, and 1 over here, and 1 here, and 1 here, and 1 here, and 1 here. Okay, so I've now worked out that I've got 5 and you've got 3. Is that half? Have a think. Is that half? It doesn't look quite right to me. Is it half? Oh, I see what I've done. It can't be half because I've got more sweets on this part than this part. Silly Miss Cox. Okay, so hopefully you spotted that too. I need to put one of my sweets on this part. That looks better because now I've got the same amount of sweets in this part as I have here. So I've worked out what half of 8 is. What is half of 8? Half of 8 is, hopefully you're saying 4, because I've got 4 sweets in this part, 4 sweets here. Okay, now if you wanted to pause me and just play with that, that's absolutely fine. You can pause me and just work with different amounts of counters and work out what half is, okay? Let's move on. I've got a challenge for you. Right, so I bought myself, I'm obviously had a lottery win here because I bought myself not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 Lamborghinis. Okay, so I've got 6 lovely fast cars down here. Now, if I had 2 big parking spaces here, 2 big spaces to put them, how could I arrange the cars so that half were on one part and half are on the other? How could I do that? How could I arrange them? Have a little chat to your grown-ups and have a think. And maybe you could do this yourself. So you could get yourself 6 counters, or if you've got them, 6 cars, and have a go. Okay, how could I arrange my cars on the rectangle? So I'm hoping, because we've had a chat about finding half, if I wanted to find out what half of 6 cars is, half of 6, hopefully you arranged them so that they looked like this. So I've got 3 cars on one part and 3 cars on the other part. Okay, so the whole number of cars is 6. That's how many I had altogether. And half of 6 is 3 because I've got 3 on this half of my rectangle and 3 on this half. Okay, right. So having a think about what you're going to be doing today, here are your challenges. Now, level 1 is what we were doing earlier with the sweets. So you're just going to find objects from around your house and work out half of that amount. So like I said, it could be anything, any number of objects that you can find. And then you're going to work out what half of those objects are. So it's just really important that the only things you need are your bit of paper that I asked you to make, your rectangle that's been put into 2 parts, 2 equal parts, and objects. And you can work out making half. Okay, so having a really good go at doing that. Level 2, there are some questions here where you've got to fill in the missing information. Okay, and we'll send those on a separate sheet for you. And level 3 is where you're looking at this rectangle, and each of these rectangles have been split up into 6 squares. And the challenge is, how many different ways can you shade 1/2 of the shape? So the trick here is to look at how many squares you've got. So you've got 6 squares altogether. And It's a bit like that car problem. We had 6 cars. What was half of 6? I think we worked out half of 6 was 3. So how many different ways can you colour in half of the squares here? Okay, the different ways of colouring 3 out of 6 of those squares. So all of these will be attached separately for you. I hope you have fun working out half an amount. Now, this is a tricky concept. So do have lots of practice just finding objects and halving them. And if you do have any problems, do message your teachers and we'll get back to you. Have fun halving and objects, and I shall see you again for our next lesson. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.